Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
This time on Gamers Week podcast.
I was confused by this trailer. What's happening? Why is Jason Momoa in a pink jacket with long hair?
Jason Momoa with bangs. Like, I'm okay with the long hair and I'm okay with the pink jacket. It's the bangs that have me mostly confused. Like, did you get drunk one night and decide you're going to cut your own bangs? Like, lots of girls can sympathize, but it's never a good idea.
It showed up to filming the first day and they were like, well, I guess we'll just roll with it.
Yeah, guess we're doing this.
Wardrobe change?
Not the wardrobe change we were
Not what you were hoping for?
No.
But I like this
In many
one.
instances, because we were promised a wardrobe change before.
Yeah, but you're wearing your Bill stuff. He's got his Raiders hat.
But nobody's calling me Mistress Ryan.
Are you jealous? Would you like to be Mistress Ryan?
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
All right, Mistress Ryan. There.
But do you have the thigh-high boots and the riding crop?
They don't make boots like that in my size.
Don't they? It's 2024.
All right,
I feel like they might.
If you can find them in a woman's size 17, I will buy them and I will wear them for the show.
Is that what size you wear in women's shoes?
Is a 17, yes.
I'm not going to ask how you know this.
Because I was trying to compare shoe sizes with my wife at the time, who's a 5, and we figured out that she's actually a 3 in men's because we were trying to figure out because I'm like more than 3 times her foot length. So it was like, what the hell? Why is that? Come to find out, women's sizes are 2 sizes larger than men's.
Okay.
The most boring explanation.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
You want me to make something up? I can do that.
Yeah, so just for science, what's your shoe size in men's sizes?
15.
I have some very important Googling to do later on. Because we do have it recorded that he will buy them. So I need to find these shoes.
And no, like, custom made ones. I'm not shelling out thousands of dollars to get a custom made.
Oh, now there's rules. Now suddenly there's rules.
Because I'm not paying thousands of dollars to as a joke for the podcast.
I'm just hearing excuses is all I'm hearing.
Says the one who's wearing a freaking hoodie right now.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. We are live, people.
So one of the things we did say, did you listen to the last episode by chance?
I haven't had a chance to yet.
That's not going to save him, though.
Well, you're right. It's not. Ignorance of deals does not save from this. We said that because you were out shopping for lederhosen in Germany, if you weren't dressed in full lederhosen gear, you would have to sing O Tannenbaum at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that's not going to happen because you guys made that bet between yourselves, and I had no idea.
This is a podcast collective, right? It's about majority rules. 2 out of the 3 of us said that was going to be the case, and therefore overruled your claim to not being able to do that. So, if you want to go ahead and just throw out a few Tannenbaums, that would be great.
Oh, Christmas tree, 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 oh, Christmas tree. There you go. That's about as much as you're going to get.
You know what? I'll take it.
Yep, good enough. All right. Well, on that lovely note, welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 132, and today is Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. My name is Blue Williams, and I'll be your host for this evening. But of course, I am not alone. As you can see, I am joined by two fine co-hosts. My first co-host has spent every day of the past 7 years searching online marketplaces for Margot Robbie's used fetish gear. No luck so far, but he remains hopeful. Please, everyone, say hello to Ryan Payne, a.k.a. Retrogamebrews.
You know what? It's really hard to find one with the certificate of authenticity. Usually it's just some guy who's been wearing it around that pretends, right? And, I ask them, do you have one? And they usually say, I don't know, Margot. As far as things go, I'm a stickler.
Quality over quantity, I understand.
Correct.
And my second co-host has recently been kicked out of Germany for enjoying the local sausages just a little bit too much. Everyone, welcome home, Slave Donaldo, a.k.a. the one and only Donnie G.
I was double fisting sausages, schnitzels. I had a pork knuckle right in my face and down my throat. It was great. The food was fantastic.
J-Town 0011 says gam gam with the sausages.
We sleep better when I put a little sausage in me.
There you go.
It's been warming sausages like that for hundreds of years.
All
You got a
right.
hot good. Sit on that thing.
So let's get the show started with our reviews, reactions, and requests. Holy Headshot says, great show, awesome guest. Donnie missed out. PB is adorable. Oh, and one of the weirdest games in my library is Revenge of the Colon, which I looked up on the Steam description. And it says Revenge of the Colon is a story-driven, single-player, atmospheric body horror game with multiple endings. Perform colonoscopies on 5 patients and discover the horrors concealed deep within them in PS1 horror style.
What?
AKA business class to Germany.
The horrors within.
I'm sorry. There's a game where you can perform a colonoscopy on somebody?
I watched just a tiny bit of the gameplay, and it's like first person, you're creeping through the colon, and it's dark.
I said like Lemmy Winks? Lemmy Winks from South Park?
Oh man, that sounds like the atmosphere on that, like those few levels of Earthworm Jim where you're going through like the creepypasta colon.
Next up from Ginja17, I just got through my Huskies' first completion of Gyromite yesterday. Our next game will be Aerial Knights We Never Yield. And
very cool.
Last week, JSR was talking about Ginja, saying how amazing it was to see somebody else playing games with their dog.
Of course.
And I love that it's a different breed too, so it's doing it all of his own. So very cool, Ginja.
Spitz breeds are apparently the best ones to play games with.
There you go.
And finally from Killjoy, I love watching the episodes on Twitch and then listening to the audio version later. I can picture the episode in my head, which adds to the listening experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, Killjoy, who is in chat right now. So thank you, bud.
Inner Space the movie.
Love that movie.
Yep.
I'm possessed.
All right, let's move on to our patron shoutouts.
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. We have a new patron to announce. A big thank you and welcome to Blue's Little Sis. She'll be joining Loudmoth, Retro Blast Pat, B&T Zilla Guy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnair, A Jill 2020, Don't Make Me Pull Over This Car, Sir Coffee of Houseblend, first of his name, Hybrid Divide, Matto 1606, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, the Pixel Pond family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thanks, #1 Blue Sick Boys fan, John Baran, Sony with the Smashing Pumpkins, Evo Lust, Rai Secret Best Friend, Mega Retro Man, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael LeKite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, Wizard of Zardoz, and Bobson Doug Nut. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
All right, let's move on to our headlines.
This headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play through and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they're playing through Destruction Derby and Ridge Racer. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
I don't know these games.
That makes 2 of us.
Donnie quickly Googling.
Well, Ridge Racer was an original PlayStation game. So now that I see that, I think I played it once or twice. I want to say it's also an arcade game, too.
That's what I was thinking, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Destruction Derby rings a bell, but yeah, it's like a match. Like it's exactly what it says or what it sounds like. It's a Destruction Derby type pit style. Also on the PlayStation, a long box game. But I don't think I've ever played that one. I know I've played Ridge Racer in the arcade.
Tkin85 says, Ridge Racer was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you remember it, because I don't.
Right. Usually we're not completely stumped, but we're striking out this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the headlines. First up, PlayStation hero shooter Concord will be taken offline on September 6, 2024, and all players will receive a full refund, Sony announced yesterday. Concord arrived August 23, 2024, meaning it has been removed from sale just 11 days after launch and taken offline for all players a mere 2 weeks after. Even those who bought Concord will no longer be able to play after September 6th. Its launch was nothing short of disastrous, with analysts estimating that it has likely sold as few as 25,000 units. The awkward cherry on this dumpster fire Sunday, however, is the knowledge that an episode of the upcoming secret level anthology show will be dedicated to the canceled hero shooter.
The awkward cherry on the dumpster fire Sunday. Oh my
Sam
God.
Dispatchin says, how many games does it take to kill a studio? 1 Concord.
Yeah.
I mean, when we watched Cyberpunk 2077 get pulled from PlayStation stores because it was so bad, we thought that was about as bad as it could ever get.
Right.
But nope, Sony decided to prove us wrong.
Hold my beer.
Yep, exactly.
So I figured it out. And if we combine all of the episodes of Gamers Week podcast that we've done so far, right, just the main episodes, we are a mere 60 episodes away from being out there with content longer than Concord.
You mean longer than 14 days?
Yes. So we're just only 60 episodes away. So I think what we should do is celebrate episode 192 and be like, we made it.
We made it. Well, you know, what's funny is if Concord sold 25,000 units, and I guess if you counted all of each of our downloads as 1 unit,
ooh,
we've blown them out of the water.
Destroyed.
We've destroyed them.
So my question with this is the obvious. Where the hell was the quality control at? Where was the focus groups at? Were they done? And then Sony just decided, they don't know what they're talking about. People will love this first-person shooter. We'll just go ahead and put it out anyway, because we'll be able to recoup some of the money back, right? No, you will not.
Well, the game is getting, not bad reviews from people who have played it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a genre that is completely saturated,
right?
A genre that is largely free to play, and this costs $45.
So it's not the fact that the game sucks.
It's a game no one asked for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
A game no one asked for, a game that released probably 7 years too late.
It would be like if Foam Stars were to release 4 years from now, right?
After Splatoon, the Splatoon hype is pretty much, I'd say it's probably on its downslope. And
for sure.
And, yeah, it's like, hey, well, now that the genre is dead, like we're gonna, here's the new game. Like, dude, we don't.
Actually, I kind of wonder if Foam Stars would have better luck 4 years from now.
Maybe, because this is the worst possible outcome for them. I mean, 25,000 units open for 14 days on the server. Not only is it really poor press, it's probably cost them more money than they probably even anticipated it would. I mean, if you think about it just from a margins perspective, and now it hurts their reputation long term.
I'm sure it cost them way more because that's always what studios say.
Right.
That the budget went out of control.
Well, for 8 years, if you got production that you're paying for people for 8 years worth, this is a total dumpster fire. There's, I don't.
It says that. With the cherry
dumpster
on top.
fire Sunday. You know, it's funny because now that has been announced that the game is shutting down, there are petitions going online to keep it going. The developers have received a big outpouring of support, which I find hilarious because it's like, we support you guys. Not enough to buy your game, but we support you guys. And then the third thing is this mad race of the players to earn the platinum, which I think would actually be the biggest flex.
Oh, yeah.
Of all, because some people are listing the physicals of Concord now on eBay for like $500, some ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
But I don't see the physical editions becoming that big of a collector's item. But if you manage to get the platinum for a game that no longer exists and you got it in 14 days, I think that's a flex.
It's a flex, but how are you going to profit from that flex? Profiting from the physical copy of the game, that's a flex, right? It's been pulled from shelves. You were one of the lucky ones to get it. Maybe you didn't open it because you're like, I don't know. Like, I've been reading some reviews and I don't think this is going to do well. So maybe I'll go get a refund. But then once it shuts down and now they're like, oh, the physical copy is skyrocketing. That's where I'm going to make my money. You can't transfer your PlayStation account to somebody else. You can't sell it. So what's it going to do for you?
I just think you can put it in your Twitter bio and expect people to have more respect for you than they probably will.
Yeah, it's the same as any other platinum flex.
I could print this out, put it on a badge, attach it to my sweatshirt, go out to a bar, and they're like, "Oh, you platinum Concord? Here are my underwear. What are you going to do with them tonight?" And
Boom!
like,
all
stuff
the
these in my
ladies.
back pocket, right? Ladies, guys too, whatever. I don't discriminate.
Be swatting them away like, oh,
Yeah.
But do you really think the physical editions are going to be worth anything? I think they're going to be coasters.
I think it's one of those things, though, years later, because they only sold 25,000 units, it's going to be something where it's, if somebody wants to complete the entire collection for the PS5, they will have to go out and have some way to buy this. So eventually, yes, this thing will be worth money. And what's going to happen is, I guarantee you, there's going to be a rush of people who are going to get one graded as well. So,
oh, for the love of God.
Yep.
Can we please not do that?
You can't play it, though. There will be no game.
Right. And it doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, honestly, look at the difference between stadium events and world-class track meet. World-class track meet is a $5 game all day. Stadium events is tens of thousands of dollars. And the only reason that people want it is not to play it. Nobody plays stadium events because the only difference is that it says Bandai on it, and that's about it. If I wanted to play stadium events, I'd just play world-class track meet and it would be done.
It's what happened to the game. The game was pulled.
There's a history behind it. Actually, the Rio game where it sounds like Sonic is saying the C word, right?
Yes.
Another one. Nobody wants to play that game. Nobody's buying that because they're excited for mini games.
I mean, there's a difference between it sucks, so you don't want to play it. Or there's a difference between it's like the same as some other game. Once the server's shut down, there is no game.
Right. And it doesn't matter because you have a piece of history that you would need in order to have your collection complete. And that's the collector's mentality.
He's got a point.
Mm-hmm. I guess. I mean, if the game no longer exists, to me, then you don't need it to complete your collection.
And I would agree with you. I would say that that's probably stupid, especially because I'm someone who likes to play what I buy for the most part. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of collectors that like shelf candy. And I guarantee you they'll be willing to pay a lot of money because it's going to be hard to get their hands on one.
Do you know any collectors like that, Donnie?
I couldn't tell you.
All right, next up, the first trailer for a Minecraft movie released today, finally giving us a look at Warner Brothers Pictures and Legendary Pictures' visions for the film. Jason Momoa and Jack Black star alongside Wednesday's Emma Myers, Oscar nominee Danielle Brooks, Sebastian Eugene Hansen, and Stifler's mom, Jennifer Coolidge. There are also some cuboid sheep and piglins marching around the place because Minecraft. The internet wasted little time in drawing comparisons between a Minecraft movie and the Borderlands movie, with one commenter calling the trailer a pastiche of bemused looks, dismissive asides, CGI, and Jack Black being Jack Black. And if that sounds to you at least a little bit like the Borderlands film and all that entails, you're not alone.
I was confused by this trailer. What's happening? Why is Jason Momoa in a pink jacket with long hair?
He's cosplaying Dora the Explorer.
Really? Now, granted.
I can't take credit for that. I saw somebody else online say that.
Dora. I love Jason Momoa and pretty much everything he does. So there is part of me that really wants to watch this just for that. But I don't understand it. I don't know what's happening there. It's so vague, right? It's almost like they know it's going to be bad. So I don't want to reveal too much because then it'll give the whole kit and caboodle away. So I want this to be a good movie, though. I want Minecraft to continue its legacy of the things that it's been able to accomplish. I mean, just think about the guy who first invented this. In a million years, did he think he was going to have a freaking movie with A-list or B-list stars in it that has all of this money getting poured into it? I doubt it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you really think the creator of Legos did he thought that he was going to have a movie based on his?
No, you're right. Yeah. And that's becoming like an entire franchise for both movies and video games, which is insane.
Of course.
It's like that success story that you want to root for. Where Borderlands, I don't care. Right. That was AAA, or whatever. So who cares? But this was like made from the ground up. So I want this to be good.
Yeah, I think we're seeing like the pendulum has swung with video game adaptations, because after Sonic and after the Mario movie, studios said video game adaptations are the silver bullet to making $1 gazillion. Just get it out there, and we don't really care. Actually, to this movie's credit, at least, we first talked about it, I want to say 4 years ago. Something like that, as it being an upcoming, because I remember at that point the story revolved around Steve and Clunk, and I was like, that sounds stupid. And I can see that now it's gone from Steve and Clunk to Steve and Jason Momoa with bangs. Like I'm okay with the long hair and I'm okay with the pink jacket. It's the bangs that have me mostly confused. Like, did you get drunk one night and decide you're going to cut your own bangs? Like, lots of girls can sympathize, but it's never a good idea.
It showed up to filming the first day, and they were like, "Well, I guess we'll just roll with it."
Yeah, guess we're doing this. Sam Disfaction says they saw Borderlands and thought, we can make it worse.
They got Kate Blanchett. We got Jack Black.
Well, Jack Black was in Borderlands.
Yeah,
that's true. You're right. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Ryan. I don't understand this, and that's the boomer comment of today. Is like, I don't understand. Well, you don't understand it, boomer. I saw the trailer, and there was nothing special. Nothing stood out. Just the fact that it was Minecraft in HD, in 4K Ultra HD. That's it. Nothing. I don't know Minecraft. I know that there is a Minecraft game with Patton Oswalt who voiced something in there, and my kids played it. That's it. I think what's going to happen is something magical happens. Real life people get sucked into Minecraft world. Things happen. Okay, well, we got to escape, and bam, we're back home. Yada yada yada. That's the premise. That's the premise of the movie.
Oh my god! If you think about that, you just described the Mario Brothers movie from the 90s.
Of course. And the Mario Brothers movie from the animated one.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, when we first talked about this, like my biggest problem with trying to envision the movie, hearing it was going to be live action, is how do you put real people in that environment and have it just not be fucking weird? And the trailer shows that they didn't quite find an answer for that, because it still kind of looks like you're watching a feature-length episode of like Blue's Clues. Where you got the real person walking around in the cartoon world, and it's it's so kind of jarring.
Yeah.
I want it to be good, but my expectations are extremely low after this trailer.
If it's good, great. If it's something that I can watch with my family or by myself and have fun, or watch with everybody on the Patron movie night and say, yeah, I had fun with that and I can laugh at these certain parts. Sure, great. But it's not like me and Batman 1989, where I'm just like, this needs to rock because this is like a deep part of me.
TKN85 says, if the first 10 minutes of the movie isn't figuring out how to build giant dicks, then it's not true to the source material. All right, next up, Ubisoft's share price has fallen 12.6% since Outlaws released on August 27, and it now sits at a 10-year low. Ubisoft's sales target for Star Wars Outlaws is unclear. The company didn't announce a public number, but the market results indicate that it's not a hit. Per Reuters, JP Morgan analyst Daniel Kervin said the game has struggled to meet sales expectations despite positive critical reviews. The analyst lowered his sales expectations for the game from 7.5 million to 5.5 million through March 2025, noting that Outlaws' budget was at least 30% higher than last year's Assassin's Creed Mirage. Star Wars Outlaws has a 5.2 user review score on Metacritic, although its critical review score is a much higher but still relatively tepid 76.
So talking to people, the biggest thing I've heard is just that this is underwhelming. You could have done so much with, because originally it was pitched to us as Star Wars GTA, more or less, right? Mm-hmm. Open world, you can do whatever you want. This is going to be super cool. And just thinking about all the potential source material it could work with, all the different races and planets and things that you could utilize in order to have fun with it in a singular galaxy that was far, far away. And it just sounds like to me like it's much more story driven. There's a lot of stealth involved with it. And I don't think people want like Star Wars with like Metal Gear in it when they were told it was going to be Star Wars with GTA. Right. It just, yeah. So I haven't heard anybody say it's terrible. Like this is the worst game I've ever played. I just heard most people just say it's a game, more or less. And I'm willing to bet if you took the whole Star Wars piece out of this, the fact that it's a Star Wars game, made it something else, some other, just made up IP, it would probably be doing better. But Star Wars fans, let's be honest, have high expectations. I mean, look at Blue. Anytime a new Star Wars movie comes out, she hates it before it gets into the theaters. They have high expectations. You don't know me. I'm just looking at a track record.
I haven't watched a Star Wars movie since... what was the second one? The second of the new trilogy. Anyway, the really, really bad one.
When you say, you got to be careful. When you say second one, that's Attack of the Clones.
That was the point at which I quit Star Wars altogether, was the second one of the new one.
Okay.
Anyway, I think you're right, because when people think of Star Wars and they think of a Star Wars game, it brings together a certain idea, right? Like you said, you should be able to go over this expansive universe. The possibilities of what you can do and where you can explore should be endless. But I think the biggest complaint that I've heard, at least as gameplay wise, is how much stealth is in the game, which on the one hand, you're like, well, Ubisoft is known for Assassin's Creed, which in many ways is a stealth series. So it's like, well, duh, of course it was going to be stealth. But then on the other hand, like when you think about the Star Wars movies, it starts with something that maybe kind of hoped to be stealth, but something goes wrong and then it turns exciting and into a giant shootout, like in A New Hope when they're sneaking around the Death Star. And then that great scene where Han is running down the hallways and then there's all those stormtroopers and he has to turn around and run away. Like that's the kind of stuff, the kind of adventure and excitement that you want out of a game. You don't want to have to sneak around all the time and be slow and methodical about it. It just doesn't fit, I think, what Star Wars fans like about Star Wars.
100%.
I would agree 100%. that kind of IP doesn't call for it. If you have a game like Splinter Cell, which was founded on the whole stealth and sneaking around, and that's a game where you can spend the entire game. And I think that's what the developers wanted you to do. Go around sneaking. Metal Gear had a mix of it. It was sneaking in action and shooting and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Splinter Cell was like, no, if you make even the slightest sound, game's over. You get shot, do whatever, the game's done. Nobody wants that from a Star Wars game. I think you could pretty much do any other type of thing with Star Wars except for that, and it would work.
Webhead in the chat says The Last Jedi, which yet again, I think 3 weeks in a row, he has rescued me by finding the name of the thing that I couldn't remember. Thank you, Frank. Tekin85 says the first mission is exactly that. Supposed to be stealth, then it goes wrong and is a shootout, and it's really fun. The next mission is just slow stealth, where you have like 2 options of what to do over and over again, and then you checkpoint back to several stealth encounters before.
Yeesh.
Yeah,
I think that could work if that was designed that way, right? It's supposed to be a stealth mission. Something happens, it goes around, It goes awry. Bam, bam, bam! Shootout, guns! I started blasting. But if it's like, if that's how it is every time, it loses its luster.
Well, and what makes Assassin's Creed, at least the later ones, really fun is that it gives you options, right? It sets it up so you can be stealthy if you want to, but if you don't want to, you go in guns blazing. And I think that I'm surprised that they didn't approach the game that way by giving players agency in how they want to approach the missions.
Right.
Especially with how it was marketed. It seemed like it was marketed as being the choices are yours, more or less.
Right.
Right. Another disappointment from the Lucas.
Another disappointment from Star Wars. Another disappointment from my GOTY pick. Not even going to get nominated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Recap. Okay, that was your GOTY pick. I don't remember what mine was. Ryan, do you remember
what yours
was?
You guys didn't make any.
Okay, mine is Wukong.
You're probably right.
I'm not going to make a prediction until the day after.
That's smart.
Smart. SMORT. All right, next up, Xbox has reportedly said sorry to the studio behind Souls-like RPG Inotria, The Last Song, after allegations that the platform holder ignored the team for 2 months, which led to a delay on the platform. Developer Jama Games recently announced an indefinite delay to the Xbox Series X version of Inotria, The Last Song, an Italian-inspired RPG absolutely dripping with Catholic guilt, because that's how guilt applies itself. It drips. Claiming that the publisher hasn't replied to its emails about certification in months. You can ask Xbox why they haven't answered us for 2 months, CEO Jackie Greco said on Discord, before alleging the studio spent a lot of money to get the console port ready. Microsoft has now reportedly extended an olive branch to the developer, who has confirmed in a more recent Discord post that the Xbox version is now moving forward. Despite Microsoft's apparent apology, there is still no new update on whether the game will hit the platform in time for its planned September 19th release date alongside the PC and PS5 versions.
Jamma Games, we've heard you. We're sorry. We'll do that.
We're sorry.
We're sorry. We apologize.
I just love the passive aggressive. Right? Why don't you ask Xbox?
And I think the quote went on to say, "They don't care about us. They don't care about you." It was full of frustration. We'll put it that way.
Don't hold back, Jackie. Never hold back.
Right. Well, it got her what she wanted.
And you know what? Sometimes being passive aggressive does work. You're right.
It does. Yeah.
Reading this made me think back to Redfall.
Yeah.
Where they said Arcane Austin is like, we just sat back and let them make their game their way. We didn't get involved, blah, blah, blah. But it does stories like this kind of make you wonder if Microsoft is managing all these first-party studios, and this isn't one of their studios, this is just somebody that is going to have the game on the platform. But nevertheless, if developers actively trying to reach out to Microsoft can't get attention for their questions answered or their needs met or whatever it is, it might explain some things.
Please hold. There are 35 studios in front of you.
It just reminds me of like that person in your office that their email inbox is like a massive black hole, right? This has to
They
be
have
that
hundreds
one guy.
upon hundreds.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they said, now email me the thing, and they'll never see it in a million years.
Right. It's everything goes into it. Not a lot comes out. It's a super massive black hole. And this is not how you run a major corporation. This is the kind of stuff that makes me believe that Microsoft won't be in the console market in the next iteration, just because they don't care is what I'm saying. And I don't want that. I want there to be more than just 2 consoles out there. I want there. Sega. Sega's going to take over, baby.
It's not going to matter whether they have a console or not. Developers are still going to want to port to their platform, whether or not it's a dongle.
Dongle.
You guys are so rusty at that. Whether or not it's a dongle or like a Steam type platform.
You said we're rusty at it. You said dongle. We said dongle afterwards. We did the thing.
Yeah, but there was a good 15-second pause where I had to wait and give you the look, say the thing.
Man.
Well, to be fair, I don't think either of us were listening to what you said.
Yeah, that tracks as well.
But I think the fact that Microsoft is going to be out of the console business, there won't be any consoles later. And I think with everybody having a PC that can do what the console does, what's the point of having a console?
Well, and the other piece to that too is with the dongle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you guys were not talking.
Dongle. What
Dongle.
are you? What? There wasn't a pause. I said dongle. What are you upset about?
No, you didn't. You said it like, okay, you.
The problem with the dongle, I think, for the most part, dongle, is that it requires pretty fast internet at this point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also potentially cost or even location prohibitive.
Very location prohibitive.
Yeah.
But one thing I think that Microsoft often does, and this story lends to that, is that they are spending too much time worrying about the dongle or the console or the platform at the expense of actually releasing good games.
That's spot on. Yeah, they're more concerned about the hardware and the system than they are about creating games that people actually want to play, which seems to be pretty necessary. Can't have one without the other, right? I got this great platform that everybody can play on, but the games
suck.
Right. And the developers reaching out to us, sorry. The voicemail box is full. Please call back. Our call volume is unusually high.
I hate that. The person's voicemail box is full. Goodbye. What?
Yep.
TCAT85 with the Duke Nukem paraphrased here. I'm here to make games and lay off entire studios, and I'm all out of studios.
Nice. All right, last up, Uwe Boll's $2.5 million Postal movie crowdfunder is a train wreck, forced to abort after raising $850, and the game's devs say they have no fucking idea who the people behind it are. The campaign, which was listed under the name of Gary Otto, Boll's co-host on his podcast, Uwe Boll Raw USA, was launched on September 1st and pitched itself as a blow against political correctness, algorithm bullshit, woke and cancel culture. Now, all pledges have been canceled and are set to be refunded mere days after the film's Indiegogo campaign launched. That's a total of 16 pledges, by the way, or about $850 of the film's overall goal. Stranger still, neither Boll nor Otto seem to have informed Postal's devs at Running with Scissors about the campaign. In an update posted on Facebook and shared to Twitter, RWS CEO Vince Desiderio wrote that the official position of RWS is "We do not," in caps, support this fundraising effort. I have no fucking idea who Gary Otto is, the project owner. No one has contacted us about this effort.
This is either the best troll of all time or the worst con of all time. I'm not sure which, but I love this kind of news. This to me is like the sit back with popcorn and drama news.
Right.
For the people who paid to be a part of this, I would like to know, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, what about this pitch really sold you on it? Right.
Donnie, the man in the back.
Flav Donaldo has his hand up. Yes, you may speak.
Okay. Postal was a movie, right? They're trying to create a game from it?
No, they're trying to create a Postal 2, a sequel to the Postal movie that they did, which was, I forget what number it was. It was in the top 10 worst video game movie adaptations based on Rotten Tomato score. But it was one of the 5 that was directed by Boll.
I fucking forgot about Postal being an actual game.
Yep.
I remember, wasn't there controversy about this game back in the day because of the school shootings and stuff like that and whatnot? Okay. Now it's kind of coming back to me.
All coming back to me.
To your point earlier, Ryan, I'm going to say that this is the worst con of all time. Because apparently, actually, in like the fine print description of this campaign, it said, if the campaign fails to reach its goals, we're going to use the money towards the Postal 2 movie or another project of our choosing.
Of our choosing.
With $850, you go right ahead, buddy.
I know, right? Go wild. You go get them.
The original movie made $146,000 worldwide on a $15 million budget.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So the developers aren't behind this idea of another one then, huh? Shocking. No studio will pick him up either. I would think his resume speaks for itself.
Was it the guy from Concord that started this then? Because I feel like there's a correlation here.
No, I'm thinking that it's some of the crew from Borderlands.
Got to get some of that money back, man.
One way or another. If they don't want to see Borderlands, maybe the audiences want to see Postal too.
So essentially, too, because it's Indiegogo, the $850 is gone.
Yeah.
Right. Like Kickstarter, you got to hit your levels, you got to prove, you got to do all this stuff, right? In order to make sure that you can do it. Indiegogo is like the Wild West, right? As soon as your money is into a project, it is bye-bye.
It says it's set to be refunded.
Is that what it says? It's set to be refunded?
It says whether it actually will be, but I mean, that's what it says.
Right. But what I'm saying is that's one of the biggest complaints of Indiegogo is that people have been scammed in the past. So what I would imagine is that Indiegogo is recognizing that this was completely false, clearly a scam, and that none of the people who said who they were actually involved with this. So maybe that's something where Indiegogo is making an exception, but usually they don't.
My theory is that these 16 people were actually favors that Boll had to call in. And they said, come on, man, just donate to the campaign. Just get it started, a little seed money. And they're like, fine, but I want my money back a week later. And it came time to pay up.
I will say there is a certain amount of me that is glad that we have more patrons than they got donations to this thing. So
everybody, each one of those people donated at least $53.13.
Jesus.
This is a little bit of a restore faith in humanity moment that this thing didn't get off the ground. I will say that. I'll also say I was today years old when I learned that Uwe Boll Raw USA was a podcast.
That sounds like an adult film.
It does. Oh my God, it does. You're right.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be checking that out anytime soon.
Nope.
But we'd be happy to have him on the show.
Oh, God, yes. Yes. Talk about an awkward cherry on top of a dumpster fire Sunday. That would be brilliant. It would be amazing.
We know we talk shit about you, but hey, who you want to come on this podcast?
Who doesn't?
Well, that's what it's like. Yeah, if he's going to be a guest on anyone's podcast, it's going to be the case.
Yeah. We're just going to go through his movies and be like, what were you thinking here?
Yeah.
He goes on his own mom's podcast and she's been talking shit about it.
You're worthless. You're nothing. Tell me about your new project.
All right, let's move on to our top 3 new releases.
Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Your next chapter takes flight. Immerse yourself in the enchanting world of Quidditch by playing solo or sharing the magic with friends and family. Plus, keep your Gringotts vault closed because there are no microtransactions. From backyard battles in the Weasley Burrow to high-stakes showdowns at the Quidditch World Cup, rise to become a champion either solo or in online co-op with teams of up to 3 friends. The Casting of Frank Stone, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC. The storytelling prowess of Supermassive Games meets the Dead by Daylight universe in a haunting horror game that won't soon be forgotten. The shadow of Frank Stone looms over Cedar Hills, a town forever altered by his violent past. As a group of young friends are about to discover, Stone's blood-soaked legacy cuts deep, leaving scars across families, generations, and the very fabric of reality itself. Astrobot, PS5. The PS5 mothership has been wrecked, leaving Astro and the bot crews scattered all over the galaxies. Time to ride your trusty dual speeder across more than 50 planets full of fun, danger, and surprises. On your journey, make the most of Astro's new powers and reunite with many iconic heroes from the PlayStation universe. So based on these choices this week, I think I know which one you're going to pick. Blue, what are you picking?
Well, I guess starting with Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, I appreciate that there's no microtransactions. So I will give them that. Not being the biggest Harry Potter fan, and even like, I know, back reading the books, listening to her describe the game of Quidditch.
It's really weird.
It's really weird, and it seems really broken.
Yes, extremely.
With the whole scoring and the snitch and everything. But then again, it's like one of those weird things that this game has really, really caught on to where there's real life Quidditch leagues, even though now they call themselves something else to avoid associating with the author who shall not be named. But I think a lot of people will really like this, but not for me. So the casting of Frank Stone, of course, is that cinematic Dead by Daylight universe, a game that we were curious about back when it was announced. So I would very much like to see someone stream this, but I am not a big enough Dead by Daylight fan that I would feel the need to purchase it myself. Which, of course, leads us to Astrobot. And yes, I did already pre-order it because I love Astro's Playroom. This game is going to be so cool. More than 50 planets to explore. I am here for it. I am so excited. Astrobot all day long for me.
Nice.
Very nice, as expected. Ryan, what about you? What are you picking this week?
I'll start with Quidditch as well. I think the game looks fine. It's a sports game for book nerds, is what I say. Which is fine, and I love Harry Potter. I think, to be honest with you, the Quidditch game I would want is probably like a VR Quidditch game rather than like a third person, right? Where you just sit on a broom and.
Wait, what are you doing in the game?
You know what I'm talking about.
Does it have the rumble feature?
Well, and the thing is, you would have to essentially make it into one of those swings, because you'd have to like attach it to the ceiling and try to move.
I'm listening.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's
getting more interesting. You're selling me,
right? More purpose.
That's my Quidditch setup.
Sure. Astrobot, it looks really cool. Like the visuals are fantastic. And as far as things go, I'm not really sure though what the genre is with this. It seemed like it's like everything though. It's not only 3D, it's 2D. There's a lot of things that are happening. So it looks very interesting. It's I wouldn't say it's necessarily like my kind of game, but it definitely isn't a game that I would pass up. I'm interested. I'm Astrobot curious, is what I'll say.
You're Astro curious.
Which brings me to the casting of Frank Stone. This looks really, really good. I've done a little bit of additional research into it. It basically covers 3 different timelines. It's dark, dank. It's what you expect out of Dead by Daylight. It explains some of the lore behind Dead by Daylight. It includes a lot of fan service in there as well with killers and that kind of thing. But it's so creepy And I think personally, for one, is a game that I would like to play on my own, but B, I think would be great for us to stream as well. So it's two pluses in that category for me. And I'm not like a huge fan of horror games per se, but because I'm at least familiar with Dead by Daylight, because there are some like quick time events that you have to do. Surprise, you got to fix a generator, right? In the same fashion, more or less. And I think, also with just the storytelling I've been told is top notch with this as well. So I think I'm going to be checking out the casting of Frank Stone, which is surprising to me because I usually don't go for horror stuff.
Nice.
All right. What about you,
Nice.
Donnie?
I too will start with Quidditch. I am a Harry Potter fan, but not in the sense that I walk around with a robe and have a wand and all that stuff and quote the movie all the time. I never played the Hogwarts Legacy game. I don't know if I would even have an interest in it. So to say that I'm going to pick up a Quidditch game and play it, no, I don't. Quidditch to me seems like blitzball. That's
You're not wrong. Okay.
Okay. No
I
wonder
hate
it never really
blitzball.
resonated with me.
I hate blitzball. So I think I'm going to be passing on Quidditch Champions, which leads me to Astrobot. Now, Astrobot, just like Ryan said here, it looks amazing. To me, it looks like if you took Super Mario Brothers Odyssey or Wonder and kind of took Mario and Luigi out of it, took all the characters from the Mario out of it, and put different characters in that had nothing to do with it, that's what you get. So that kind of platformer, I am very excited about. I love Super Mario Brothers Odyssey. I love Super Mario Brothers Wonder. So Astrobot's definitely a game I'm going to pick up. I'm just not as into the whole Astrobot thing as Blue is, and that's okay. It doesn't really do as much for me, but because the platforming game, the platforming genre is one that I love, it's near and dear to my heart, I'm going to give this one a try. But it's not the one that I'm going to pick this week, that I'm going to pay money for to pick up and have on launch day. That is the casting of Frank Stone. I'm a huge Dead by Daylight fan. I haven't played in a year or two. I was a religious player, like every day would stream it and stuff like that. I got to tier 1 with Killer and Survivor, and
Nice.
I just kind of like, okay, what else is there to do? They have the different characters that come out, and you're like, yay, it's new and shiny again, and it's like, okay, it's the same old stuff. So I kind of fell off with Dead by Daylight, but I'm looking to get back into it via the casting of Frank Stone. And I love story-driven games. I love horror games. So you combine those two together, and that's something I'm looking forward to, especially since the fact that it's coming out here in the fall, which is leading into something we're talking about later. I love spooky games, so I'm going to pick up the casting of Frank Stone.
Nice.
We need to finish Still Wakes the Deep so we can move on to our next spooky game.
Yes. We probably shouldn't have much longer to play on Still Wakes the Deep.
And that brings up a good point, guys. If you don't know that we're on Twitch every other Monday playing video games, come subscribe to our channel, follow our Twitch channel, check it out. I personally think we have a great time. So my guess is so will you. There's my pitch. I'm sticking to it.
Before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week, Bill attempts to break the internet by asking a question that's been plaguing school playgrounds and lunchrooms since 1995. Should Chrono Trigger be considered a Final Fantasy game? So this week's question is exactly that. Is Chrono Trigger a Final Fantasy game in disguise? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter. Ryan, you probably have the biggest opinion here.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not.
Okay.
I will say that it has elements of Final Fantasy, but really that just makes it a Squaresoft game. There's a lot of differences between, I think, what you will find in your typical Final Fantasy as far as tropes are concerned. Than you will with Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger, of course, works with time travel, and that's a big element to it, is going in between different time periods and therefore experiencing life at different stages. There are so many different opportunities for you to end the game
Nerd alert.
TK85 says, I don't think there's a single person named Sid.
Right, there you go. There's another
So
one.
obviously, it's not a Final Fantasy game.
Right, and if you think about it too, like what makes a Final Fantasy game nowadays? There's no real question or answer to that question. And in the past, what made up a Final Fantasy game was you're more or less on a quetch fest for crystals, and that was like the most common trope that you
fetch?
Fetch quest. Thank you.
Quetch fest. It's a quetch fest.
Quest fetch.
I hate you guys so much.
So why wouldn't you say is Chrono Trigger a Dragon Quest game and not a Final Fantasy game? Because they're
RPGs, right? They all fall into the same genre,
yeah.
right? So I'm just saying that it's not a Final Fantasy game in disguise. I think what people are saying is that it's just so reminiscent of Final Fantasy. But I think what they're missing is the kind of subtle differences that you run into because it comes from the same studio. It's a Squaresoft game. Of course, there's going to be some similarities. The same people who made Final Fantasy, the same people who made Chrono Trigger, right? I just happen to believe that the story and what have you from Chrono Trigger just is better than most Final Fantasy games.
Ooh, them's fighting words.
See, and I was going to say that, yes, Chrono Trigger is a Final Fantasy game in disguise. Just because if you called it Final Fantasy whatever, I mean, nobody would bat an eye. They would be like, yeah, sure. Seems like a Final Fantasy game.
It would be the weirdest Final Fantasy game.
Mystic Quest?
Oh, that's not even a Final Fantasy game.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth, man. I love Mystic Quest.
But the funny part is you like that game, but you hate all other RPGs. And that one just confuses the shit out of me.
No, don't say that. I don't hate all other RPGs. I can't say that it didn't do anything for me because I haven't really played. I haven't invested the time in Chrono Trigger. And it's something
it's a slow burn.
Yeah, I plan on doing before I die.
And if you ever speak ill of Chrono Trigger, that may be quicker than you think.
Hurt me, Daddy. What?
Hurt you.
And now, it's time for the very important poll.
Every month on Twitter, we post our VIP or very important poll. And if you'd like to participate, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC. And the question for this week is, what is your favorite kind of game to play during the autumn months? So coming in third place is a Souls-like game at 9.8%. Coming in second place is a cozy farm sim at 15.8%. And crushing it this week, taking home all of the chips, is horror at 48.9%. Almost half. Just under
Not
half.
all the chips, half the chips.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
He said almost all the chips.
Right. Now, 25.6% of you said other. So let's take a look at comments from the poll. Starting off with @Serathia says, RPGs always my favorite type of game year round. I do tend to play more Ghosts and Goblins, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Castlevanias, and such during October, though. Dalai Lama, follows the show. That's great. Tis spooky season. Horror games are a must.
Hear, hear.
R Nash Music says, same as any other season RPGs. Mogok says, the only correct and responsible answer is whatever is next on my backlog. Now, excuse me while I start Final Fantasy IX again. And Adam Radley says, is any and all an acceptable answer?
Most definitely.
We'll allow it.
Taking a look at these options for the week. Donnie, what are you going with?
Solitaire. That's my
all
favorite
day long,
game to
man.
play.
Spider Solitaire, at least.
Spider
So
Solitaire. Yep, absolutely. I'd say I tend to find myself playing more horror games in the month of like later September, October, definitely, and in the beginning of November. I think it's really, if you look back, it's a pattern with me because I've played Visage, Madison, Resident Evil remake, all within that same time frame of October, and it's fitting. It's fitting. So any horror games that really come out, that's my time. That's my favorite time of the year is the fall. So you've got people in masks standing out on street corners, looking at people, ready to kill them, and that's where I thrive. That's where I thrive. So I definitely love playing more horror games in those months.
Nice.
You have an interesting neighborhood.
Well, so I've dressed up as Jason like the past 5 or 6 years or 10 years or whatever. And I think this year I'm going to spice it up and I might do either Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers, like in a full movie quality outfit.
You should definitely get the Michael Myers, but actually it's going to be Captain Kirk mask that you yourself decide to paint white. You got to go like the full
right.
way.
Authentic Michael Myers.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know if I'd be able to find a Captain Kirk mask. That's
no way. Not even close. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all eroded and degraded. So yeah.
Right.
Man.
Then again, the internet does exist. I bet you if you wanted that too.
Yeah. If you really looked hard enough, you could find it.
I mean, I am later going to be looking for size 17 women's thigh-high boots, so...
throw in a Captain Kirk mask. Look around while you're at it.
Get it from the same seller. I'm sure there's a crossover.
Right.
All right, Blue, what about you?
So, I agree with Donnie in that this is the season for spooky games. You want to be scared. You want to get your heart racing. But horror games aren't going to do that for me.
No?
What actually terrifies me are the Souls games because they are so difficult. So every time you do anything, it feels like a life or death situation. Should I go into this room? I don't know. I'm probably going to die. Should I open this chest? I don't know. It's probably going to be a trap. When I go through this boss room or into this new castle or this new catacombs, like what sort of horrors await me? Souls games terrify me. So that's what I picked.
Fantastic. I like it.
What about you, Ryan?
And to your point, I'm really surprised Souls games didn't get a higher voting. When the poll first came out, like the first 3 votes were Souls games. Souls like, and then like nobody else voted for him after that. It seems like, which to me, I'm surprised. It's like, the kind of typically with Souls games, it's like dark and dank and, kind of spooky, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Me in particular, I don't know if what I play every October or into that time frame is a horror game per se. But every year I play through Zombies Ate My Neighbors during this time frame. So I guess technically it's horror adjacent, right? It's not scary in any way. Nobody's going
horror adjacent. God.
Right. But I love that game. That game just has so many fond memories. I remember it was the first game that I ever saw being played on the Sega Channel back in the day. And so got a chance to kind of rekindle my love for it by doing some tournaments with the game. And now that's like a must play every spoopy season. So that is going to be one of them. And then I got to get into Souls-likes. So once I get my console, I'm not lying. I'm just delaying the inevitable.
He thinks we're going to believe him this time.
Right.
Nope. Well,
I'm like an abusive relationship.
Yep.
I swear I'll never do it again.
This time I mean it.
Yeah.
TKN85 says eBay has them for 100 to 1,000.
For the Kirk masks. Jesus. 1,000? Like authentic from
it would have to be authentic. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The rejected mold.
Worn by William Shatner.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you for listening to episode 132 of Gamers Week podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, and Pixel Pawn Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com, or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. So I'm going to find Ryan the thigh-high boots, but the leather corset, you're on your own.
You know, I think I can manage. I feel like there's more opportunities to find one in my size with them.
Are you going to be cosplaying as Dr. or what's the name from Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh,
Frank
yeah.
Inserter, yep.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind being Tim Curry for a day.
Well, we will expect a full performance, like in the high heels and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can manage that. I did a little bit of theater back in the day.
Guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back on Monday with more playthrough of Still Wakes the Deep. And then next Wednesday, we'll be back here live at the same time, same podcast channel. You guys have a great night, and bye.
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 Good night.
Actually, I'll be right back. Give me one moment.
Okay. She's going to go change to the black leather.
I thought she was going to poop, but now that you mentioned that, I think you're right.
Dropping a log.
She's going to come back looking like Judas Priest singing, dropping a log. In the bathroom, completely wasting out of TP and down.
Oh, God. Dropping a log.
Splash. Nice. Oh, the best part is she's going to have to listen to this back.
She probably still has her headphones on.
Probably, yeah.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VD-STDs things, right? Make you fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.